Dignitas fighting for their lives here for a chance to go to the Western Clash, and so far, FNATIC is not giving them a chance. FNATIC is currently up 2-0. Can Dignitas start mounting the comeback, Keldor?
Well, we're going to find out in the next game. And for everyone that just tuned in and is not quite familiar with the situation here, I just want to recap again where we are right now. FNATIC is already qualified for the Western Clash. They're currently standing at the top of the standings with a 5-0. And we have 4 teams that are tied in their attempt to reach the second and the third place, who also go to the Western Clash. That's Team Dignitas, Team Liquid, Team Expert, and also Tricked Esports. And the big problem for Team Dignitas is that after the match score, we are looking at the direct comparison between the teams. Meaning if you end up before the Western Clash on the same match score as an opponent, it's all about, did you beat them in this first phase already? And the problem for Dignitas is they lost to Team Liquid and they lost to Team Expert. And both of these teams go up against each other. So the big issue with that is that, of course, one of them is going to lose. But that team that loses, unless we have a major upset, where either Zealots take down Team Liquid or the good guys take down Team Expert, if that doesn't happen, and we don't really expect it to, considering how well these teams played this season, then all of a sudden Dignitas would be on the same match score as Team Liquid or Team Expert, depending on who loses that match, and that would automatically push them out of the Western Clash. In order to avoid that, they need to win here. And right now, it's not looking good for them. They are down 2 maps. And if they lose to FNATIC, they have to basically start praying that either the experts are taken down by the good guys or Zealot beats Team Liquid. This is the only way how they could possibly end up going to the Clash. So everything's on the line for them.
Yeah.
And they are down 2 games, Tim.
To sum it all up, Dignitas done goofed, and they got to win today and see if they can actually pull that off here. Let's check out the battleground for game number 3. That's the short speech. I got you. That's what I'm here for. Sky Temple will be picked up by Dignitas, so they are going to go ahead and elect to grab the battleground here and give FNATIC the first pick. So they obviously have a plan here, and they want to go to Sky Temple.
Yeah, that's insane.
Does anybody remember Game 7 at MSB?
Do you remember Game 5 of the winner bracket final in the MSB?
The last 2 times that Dignitas
Which map
faced
was
off,
that? I don't know.
It started with an S and the Sky Temple.
Yeah, it was the one with temples, right?
Yeah, something like that. There was the sun, someone got a tan during it, and FNATIC won both those matches. And not only did the first one was a 1% core defense, so that one was a little bit on the closer side. The second one, though...
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been on the closer side if FNATIC had played it right. So
the thing is, FNATIC is 2-0 Dignitas on this battleground, and Dignitas is coming towards it. So they have something in store, or they want to lose. That's the only thing that I can say.
And think about this is a map where FNATIC is actually known for playing extremely well. And it's also a map where, as we just said, Dignitas lost the last 2 times. The interesting part about this is they prioritize picking this map over the first pick, which we very, very rarely see, especially from our top teams. Normally, the first pick advantage is something they don't want to give away. And to think that they give up first pick to pick Sky Temple of all maps is just blowing my mind. I could have seen them going into any kind of weird map where they say, FNATIC struggles here, this is a map they don't practice as much. But they pick one of FNATIC's best maps here, and there must be a sick strategy behind that.
Well, for me, all I know is I better see a 6 strategy because I want this series to go to a game number 5. I know both these teams are capable of doing so, so let's go ahead and get started here. As FNATIC will be the first ban of the game. Remember, they are up 2-0. If they get a victory here, they walk away with the series win.
Now, what are FNATIC's weapons on this map? Globals. It's all about the globals for them normally. We've seen Brightwing on this map, we've seen a lot of Illidan. For the Hunt and his pseudo-global, we are seeing the Haka, we're seeing Falstad. And Dignitas, they played a lot with Illidan, which is why FNATIC currently bans him out, since Zalia is very comfortable with an Illidan pick. And if you remember the series that Dignitas just played against the good guys, one of the things they did is play around the opponent with Illidan as a pseudo-global. Don't engage into fights, you don't have to. Fight a 4 versus 5 for a little bit, just dodging, bob and weave, and let Illidan do his thing on and off lane, and then when you see an opening, he comes in and you try to get a kill with him. So FNATIC bans him out right away, and Dignitas gets rid of Genji, but that still leaves us with the Haka, with potentially even ETC for a stage dive, in theory, and also, of course, Brightwing. So there's still a few heroes around that the 2 teams can pick up when it comes to global play.
Now the question is, FNATIC, are they comfortable enough in their type of play style here to go ahead and move into the Dahaka and maybe to set up for the global play, or do they want to maybe mess with Dig a little bit here? Typically, if you're facing off against Dig, I wouldn't mind grabbing an Uther right away and see if you can mess them up here, but a Nubrak would still be up.
I already like that FNATIC is currently just sitting there and really thinking through the options because they must be feeling a bit weird about this too. They might be saying, what's happening here? They bring us on Sky. Tassadar Tracer, all right. Dignitas saying, right. This is also interesting because what Dignitas just did, they snap picked. So they said, we are going to not use our time pool so that you are forced to make a decision quicker. But FNATIC has thought this really through. So they go into the Dahaka first of all, and when they see the opponent's pick, they're saying, doesn't change anything for us. Oriel, Uther, let's go for it. And just on a side note, so far, this is the Chen draft they used on Sky Temple at the mid-season brawl.
That's what I was going to mention here.
Just saying.
This is the Chen draft that we saw in the past. Secondly, FNATIC has also mentioned publicly that they, while they can play double support, they don't prefer to run it. They don't think it's as strong as people have mentioned, but they do think there are certain scenarios where it is very powerful. So for them to go into Oriel and Uther means they have a game plan and an understanding of what they want to do on Sky Temple, which is scaring me here. The Vala ban from Dignitas right away.
I don't really think that's going to matter. You can still go into Oriel easily. So in case that you're not familiar with it, I cannot see this draft coming into play here because the two teams already faced off on this map against each other at the mid-season brawl with that draft. But what FNATIC did when they were trying to just cheese out Dignitas a bit, they surprised Dignitas with the draft. And that draft was very clean-cut. You had Dahaka to soak 2 lanes, and they actually went into Oriel and Uther with a Vala plus a Chen. Chen was soaking the ammunition at the structures, and with the help of the double support, Vala and Chen were kept alive, and the two of them just simply went through structures. FNATIC sacrificed some experience in minion waves and instead took experience through taking down structures, took a very, very early boss around level 9, level 10, and tried to end the game with it. A lot of teams have tried to copy the strategy since then, but teams, once that they saw it, know a little bit more what's headed their way so they can react better to it. Dignitas is now faced with the opening that FNATIC used with this draft, but of course it's also Dignitas that FNATIC used it against. So I'm not quite sure if we're going to see the exact draft, but a lot of the thought process that we had in this is still active in the draft that we're currently seeing.
And that's what's scary here, is it could always be an elaborate mind game. Dignitas has to think about what possibly happened at the midseason brawl and what is known here in Europe to be played, and figure out if they want to make sure to draft for that, but then suddenly FNATIC can just spin and go a different direction.
Yeah.
Murd and a Brightwing are going to be the pickup for Dig.
That already helps. So as I said, I can't really see the Chen coming into play here again, and the two heroes that we've now seen.
It would be cheeky if it did.
You can't. Not against the same team on the same map with the same draft and the same strategy. That's not happening.
So, I know I'm not the best player in the world, but if I was a drafter and I'm 2 up over my opponents and I'm like, do we want to set a statement?
Okay, but wait. The statement against a Muradin with Skullcracker and a Stormbolt and Brightwing with a Polymorph?
Sometimes you just want to go in, man. Sometimes you just want to be like, you know what?
Okay, production, can we please stop giving him coffee? It's obviously messing with him, so...
I'm just saying, man. Statements are a powerful thing.
Yeah. Can we at least change the beans a little bit, like non-caffeine?
Can we go down to a 7 on the espresso? No more 10s to get the day started? All right, well, let's see what FNATIC's going to pick up here for the 4th and 5th. Obviously, you need a battery here. You need maybe Lenara or Gul'dan to pick up, so we know that's coming in. It's a question mark of the 5th pick coming in for FNATIC. What will it be? It's going to be Cassia and Variant. So basically, Chen.
Is that so?
Is that so? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
On the opposing side, so you have your Brightwing, you have your Muradin. Are we gonna?
I can't wait to see the triple variant being taken on level 10. By the way,
the Twin Blades. Let's go.
No, that's not the same thing.
Do we just get Li Ming here?
First of all, I'm actually scared what FNATIC has. Do you realize how much control they have to put Cassia into play now?
Yeah.
Stun after stun into Fen, and Cassia just completely bodying them.
They have a lot of control here. Luckily, Brightwing with Cleanse will be able to help out slightly, but still, Varian with that trade-off on cooldowns that we see so often. Uther coming with own stuns, the drag here from Dahaka.
Also, Tracer's going to have a rough time against the Cassia to dish out the damage here.
Pulse Bomb does all right, but still with Uther just bringing out the heal, yeah, you're right, it will be
I mean, the Pulse Bomb does, but with your auto attacks, you are in a bit of a weird spot.
What if you just don't hit the Cassia and kill Ariel?
Yeah, well, good luck with that with the Uther next to her.
I'm trying to help here, okay? I know Dignitas is down 0-2, but let's give them a little bit of credit. They got something, I believe.
Oh yeah, I mean, Xaylia, don't get me wrong, Xaylia and Tracer is amazing. I will never, a few of you might have heard that little story already, but I will never forget when Xaylia in Katowice, when we were at the Western Clash at the beginning of the year, was the first time I think that it was an offline event, big one.
Yep.
And I talked to him after a game they played, and he played Tracer in the game, and they won. And then afterwards, I just asked him and said, like, so how you like your first event? How is it to be playing on the stage? And his eyes started just lighting up, and he's like, Caldo, I have no ping. There's 0 ping. Do you know what I can do with Tracer here? So since then, every time that they played in at that event, Tracer was banned out against him immediately. But he was such a happy panda. He looked like one of the head roll trolls immediately there. That's when I actually started to associate that picture with him. But just that joy in his eyes when he could play Tracer. So I expect big things from him on the Tracer. It's an amazing hero for him. But it's up against FNATIC. And FNATIC just looks unbeatable. FNATIC looks right now as good as Team Liquid did at the beginning of Phase 1.
Yeah, FNATIC looks dominant. It's almost hard to think that a team could beat them right now in their current state if they're playing in their A game.
The problem, on the other hand, is Team Liquid dominated the first part of Phase 1, didn't lose anything. Then they dominated the big chunk of the second part of Phase 1. And what happened in the end? They lost their games and didn't qualify for the mid-season brawl. So FNATIC might look really strong right now, and they are definitely the top team to beat. But they are very aware of Team Liquid's story, and they have already told me in person, it's not going to happen to us.
Well,
we are not going to get condescending. We're just going to keep practicing. We're going to stay on our A game. We want to go to BlizzCon. But first of all, they have to go through Dignitas. And Dignitas is a team that can make a reverse sweep happen.
Exactly. I mean, this is still game number 3. In fact, let's go ahead and get started here in case Dignitas does start the reverse sweep here against FNATIC. FNATIC on game point to walk away with the series, but Dignitas hoping to stay in it. Here we go, Sky Temple.
Sky Temple, map number 3. FNATIC is in the lead against Dignitas. They have the 2-0, and we see Quacknix on Cassia for the boy band. We have Shrimpy on Oriel, rocking the support with Wooby on the Haka. Of course, we're currently also having on our second support good old Smexy, and we're seeing Breeze on Varian up at that front line.
To the right, in the red, Bakery will be playing Brightwing, Snitch on Tassadar, Xaylia will be showing off his Tracer once again, and I'm happy for that. Mane back on Falstad, and JPL playing Murden.
I'm hyped for this one. This is going to be a great, great game here for sure. But I am actually absolutely with you. I wouldn't mind to see a few more games from these two teams. At this point, we have all of them up at the top, so FNATIC already starting to take a few hit points off the structures here. Keep in mind that, especially with Varian, a big power spike for him is his level 4. So then he can dive a lot deeper, but FNATIC's already posturing super aggressive. And given the situation in the match, there's a lot of pressure on Team Dignitas, and lesser teams would definitely crumble here. But even Dignitas has to be affected by it a little bit and be thinking about what's going on if they actually lose the series.
Especially with the weight of the entire situation. I mean, they mentioned yesterday in their interview that it's like, okay, we think that we've been doing very well in our scrims. We think that we can take on FNATIC, but to come out and lose 2 of the first games while you're still playing pretty well can be something that is quite disheartening. We'll see if they'll be able to handle the pressure as they go in to the series. We are now 1 minute into it, and Quacknix, Smexy, and Shrimpy applying pressure here and trying to hold Xaylia back.
Yeah, here we have him riding in style on the money pick, still the best mount in the game. And yeah, he is definitely the key player to watch out here for. Xaylia on Tracer is absolutely insane. He is so good, but is he good enough?
There's always a question. His past history has shown that he is good enough. He can even handle the pressure of Varians coming his way, keeping up with his positioning. But is he good enough to handle a Variant and the rest of FNATIC pushing into? The first temple has spawned for our teams, both of them available in the middle and the top. FNATIC grabs the middle, keeps pushing in, while the Haka and Falstad will be on the off lanes.
The one thing that I'm a little bit worried for Xaylia is that there could be, with the double support that they are running here, a potential Divine Storm from Uther. And level 16 would already be a problem for Tracer, but if you have a Divine Storm on top of the double stun with Benediction and the Variant Taunt, how do you ever keep her alive?
Cleanse, Tassadar shields, and movement. That's all you got there. It's going to be difficult.
Have you ever tried to move a stunned hero? If you figure that trick out, then please let me know, because then I go pro.
Yeah, I'll teach you after.
Okay.
You know, that's something that we can share to the public.
Stitches hooks don't count.
How'd you know?
There's no
Helping
stitches in this game.
hand.
Oh, look at Uther here, forms Mexi. 6-1. We talked a lot about Bakery's Uther and how strong he is with a hero, but Smexy might not have the same sample size as Bakery, but he still has a very impressive track record.
It's impressive. This entire team, like every single person you can look at, and you can see why their teams are successful. These are 5 team members that have all great individual skill, but they all work together on one goal at all times. That's why, even with Dignitas being in the middle of the standings right now, they're still a successful team that has done well up until now. And that's why we can't ever count them out of this series, because these teams have been the best of Europe for a reason.
And especially Dignitas. There were several times in a spot where FNATIC was ahead and Dignitas made reverse sweeps happen against them before. One of the most devastating losses that FNATIC ever received against Dignitas was at the DreamHack Valencia, and that was last year in the summer. And FNATIC looked like the clear winner of the grand final, and all of a sudden Dignitas just took victory after victory and forced them into submission. So this is something that FNATIC very clearly remembers as well. They are not going to yield an inch here. They will not be condescending and saying like, yeah, we got this easy, because they know that Dignitas is capable of this. But right now, again, Zelia zipping around. The stun's already on cooldown as we have Dignitas moving in. The Haka, on the other hand, at the top lane. It's a 5 versus 4 in favor of Dignitas, and they did not get the kill, committing a lot of resources to the gank towards the bot lane.
Yes, that was 5 members in the bottom for Dignitas, and it goes back to your point that you brought up in draft. How do you kill Cassia when you have a Tracer available? And Tracer moved in, didn't really apply much, so they focused down the Uther. The problem is, Uther was busting out the heals with Ariel in the background helping out. Even with a polymorph, Uther didn't fall below half health. FNATIC's in a spot here where they can apply a lot of damage, get nice healing out there from Ariel, and be in a spot where they even get stronger, especially with level 7 talents coming online for both Cassia and Uther.
Yeah, so the big problem with Cassia, of course, again, if you're a little bit newer to the game, is that her trade, Avoidance, just gives her 65 physical armor when she's moving, while not being mounted. So as long as Cassia just keeps moving as Tracer tries to auto-attack her, she's going to receive very little damage. So you have to have the mechanics, of course, of Quacknix to really make those starter steps work, to make sure that you get your auto attacks in while you're moving, but you can negate a lot of the pressure that Tracer has towards you. So this makes it very difficult to take her down. At the same time, the lockdown against Tracer is needed to bring Cassia's damage online and also help the rest of the team, of course, to drop her here. But this is FNATIC with a very calculated draft against Dignitas' picks.
Dignitas right now working on getting towards level 9. Seeming like they're going to go ahead and just give up this temple on the bottom and allow FNATIC to control it. JPL is on the side, should be able to jump out. JPL does get away here. Temple continues to be grad, but Dignitas is employing a similar strategy that we actually saw from them on Infernal Shrines. When the objective pops up, just go push in a different area of the map. And here, they're pushing in the middle fort.
Yeah, so they move into the middle, they are giving up the temple for now, so that allows FNATIC to move bot lane, but of course the middle is being pressured. And Dignitas, smart as they are, have still a global, or one of their globals, up at the top. So we see Brightwing in a position, pressuring another fort, and that works really well for them, getting a lot of experience. In terms of structures, they actually even take a lead, arguably. They haven't lost a fort yet, FNATIC that is, but they are about to, so Dignitas is at this point really in a nice spot. The top fort is about to fall, the mid fort is also extremely low. Level 10 hits a little bit faster for FNATIC, and they already try to capitalize on that advantage by moving into a boss.
Smallest of windows, but still moving for the boss. As the window seems to be open up enough here, as Brightwing will finally get that fort in the top and give Dignitas their own 10. Now, can Dig get the engage they want here to force this boss call not to work out for them? Snitch comes in, he does scout it, falls in the bottom right with a gust.
Yeah, but they're not moving in for it. It's already too low. And Whoopi, as you could see, he immediately used Burrow. So they didn't know where Falstad was. They didn't have vision on him. They didn't know did he try and fly in. So what they immediately did upon walking onto the point is that the Haka used Burrow. So even if there's a gust coming out,
he's still there.
He can still stay on the point, and then FNATIC is able to move in. And one of the problems is that, especially with the Ball of Lightning being chosen as the heroic ability on Quacknix, you don't really want to fight in such a closed-off area.
Well, with the boss pushing in, FNATIC is in a spot where they can force a fight at any point. Remember that taunt being available for Breeze can lock down Tracer, Tassadar even, especially with Tassadar using his shield right now. Zelia could be in trouble. FNATIC keeping up with it, does break open the wall. Brightwing is offsetting this pressure, though, by being in the top left corner. She's doing her own damage to keep here, so FNATIC had to make a decision. Either we push in, and we force a keep, which is kind of hard at 7 minutes, especially against a Mighty Gust, or we pull back and defend, and they decide to go ahead and pull away.
Yeah, in the meantime, FNATIC is just trying to get some structural damage in to set themselves apart here. But FNATIC is in the spot where they are on even experience with Dignitas. So as you said, Dignitas is really doing well, playing their own globals. And it's also, I mean, it is their map pick. This is really what they were hoping for. They forced FNATIC into this map because they said, hey, we can deal with this, we can make this work. And the big question is now going to be, will they be successful here or not? So far, they're at least holding even. But the point still is that FNATIC is looking very solid. Not even going to the Divine Storm, since they just simply said, hey, you know what? We have so many stuns and the taunt. Uther can go into the Divine Shield. And we have now Aegis, we have Divine Shield, so killing something is going to be very rough.
Killing something will be rough. They have to, first off, chase down Dignitas. They also have to move into fights. Breeze is looking for one, but with Snitch coming in with the Oracle, FNATIC is revealed. So they'll go ahead and hold the top temple here. But with the temple being in the bottom, there is a place for movement for Dignitas to move in and grab that temple, but they do have to watch out for Dehaka, who has not shown himself on the battleground. So Dignitas is playing safe and moving slowly over there, but they don't want to have anyone get caught.
Dehaka didn't even move in for it because he realized that he couldn't really see a whole lot of the heroes on the map. So he was a bit anxious that he would run into a trap here, and if he does, then they would lose a hero. So they can't really afford to do that. They simply give up the shots at the bottom, and that's completely fine. It's an even exchange of temples for now. And both of the teams are also heading into the level 13 talent roughly around the same time. So they're still looking at an incredibly even game. And we haven't seen a single kill yet in this match.
Not a single kill. FNATIC decides to keep pushing in. They do see Falset at the bottom, so they know that they can do this push effectively and safely. JPL's coming in, looking for a fight. The Stormbolt will hit on top of Schwimpy, but Schwimpy is saved for the moment, pulls away, and JPL will take the damage. We're going to have Quatic stepping forward to apply some of his own fight, but nothing really occurring for our teams. They're playing so safe around that variant.
FNATIC is actually willing to engage again after they see shots fired at the bottom temple because they know it is going to be a 4 versus 4 at most. There's no numeric advantage for Dignitas. And Brightwing moved back onto the temple, getting the last few shots, but already Brightwing being attacked and nearly falling here actually. Brightwing is nearly dead. Bakery barely got back after Dehaka attacked him hard. And now, of course, Dehaka is joining the fun up at the top 2 to an extent where we see the Mighty Gust coming out. And in 2 more seconds, Varian is going to have this taunt. So Dignitas needs to be very cautious now.
Well, FNATIC also has to be aware, too. The Giants are grabbing the bottom.
Yeah.
So they're actually pushing in and putting pressure on their own keeps. They have to decide to retreat. And Dignitas is going to take some time to try and slow them down from actually using that retreat. They want to get Wubby down there to clean up the Giants, and finally he will, but they have done a decent amount of damage already. A nice game of chess between our teams so far.
Yeah, especially that battle between Brightwing and Dehaka at the bot lane was so crucial. If Brightwing falls, Dehaka can move top and force a 5 versus 4. But Brightwing barely got the teleport through and then also was able to position herself in the back so that she could heal on the well. And that was so important for Dignitas, just to keep Brightwing alive. Dehaka moved in shortly after, both of them using their global ability here. And overall, Dignitas is actually manipulating the map quite nicely. They're still ahead in experience. We still have seen 0 kills here. So even though FNATIC is trying to force snap kills, thanks to the taunt and the stuns, they haven't really been able to do that. But they also run their own Dehaka, their own global, so they can keep up with Dignitas. But eventually, there will be a battle between the two teams, and this is really the main event that we're waiting for here.
I mean, in this spot, I would argue that Dignitas might actually be ahead here because they're double globals. If they can keep avoiding fights and soak 2 lanes, actually get them pushing in, and continue to keep ahead in experience, and control the temples, at least one at a time, they should be able to etch their opponents out of the game here. FNATIC is going to constantly be fishing, looking for those fights, but if they keep using Snitch in particular with that Oracle, they should never get caught off guard.
I think eventually they will have to face the music here, but so far they're definitely playing around them quite nicely. So they actually double check at the boss. I don't think that they are willing to commit to it, but they're setting something up here. We have now Dehaka streaming through the top lane, trying to pressure that out a little bit more. And both of the teams just double checking pushes. They're all waiting for the trap. They know that somewhere there is one, and they're dancing around the vision. They're trying to hide as much as they can just to make sure that they get the upper hand. But 16 is hitting for both of the teams at the same time. And this is now really where Tracer has to be even more careful. Benediction, taunt, so many stuns, especially if you also include the drag that we have on Dehaka. And let's not forget that when we're talking about Dehaka, also he has isolation as his level 10 ability. So there's a massive amount of threats, not only to Tracer, but to basically any hero that comes close enough to Varian getting a taunt and Uther getting the stuns off.
Dehaka get an isolation without Tassadar shields. Tracer couldn't blink. Things like this all become very scary if that isolation does connect. So Temple's being grabbed for both of our teams. Keep pressure will be occurring, and it looks like FNATIC is actually getting the leg up as they're actually hitting the keep on the bottom right. Remember, when they pushed in and took out that wall, that allows the Temple to actually siege away on the keep, and they will score the first keep of the game here.
At the bot lane.
At the bottom lane.
Meaning boss is now even more... That's exactly what we said. There was the stun after the taunt. This is exactly the problem. We have a couple of tools that Dignitas can use with the Brightwing, Emerald Wind, and the Falset Mighty Gust. The problem is you trade cooldowns in a really bad way since we only have a 16-second cooldown on the taunt. So that's always a trade up for FNATIC. And after they get that snap kill, they go for Tassadar. We just talked about the boss that we have seen here now can move through the bot lane towards the core. They need to go for it. Dehaka will burrow again as we see the Gust. Yep, there's the burrow, and they hold the point.
Wubby with the burrow. They turn around here. The point continues to be held. Divine Shield will be used. Fighting steps forward. Still with Tank standing on top of the point. FNATIC is here to stand, and they'll continue to control it. JPL, the main focus here, will be taking on a 5v1, but eventually has to jump out. But we're going to see Breeze charging him down.
Breeze going in 2 seconds on the taunt. Dignitas felt forced into the fight. It's a 4 versus 5, but they felt they had to take the battle because they know the boss will go for the core directly, and they were afraid of FNATIC ending the game with it. Now, of course, they have the staggered deaths here. Another 20 seconds until Tracer is back and FNATIC starts moving in. They're going for the taunt and drag the kill. Tassadar is down.
Tassadar being down makes it a little bit harder for Tracer to be effective. Tracer will be here in 10 seconds to come in for the fight, but already the boss starts to hit the core. JPL taking damage here from the opponents here as Quagnus keeps bringing out the fight, and finally the core shields begins to fall.
Core shields are falling here, and all of a sudden, even with the Gust, it doesn't look as if Dignitas can defend. They are losing Tracer again, and FNATIC already leading in the series with a 2-0. Move in, drop the core down to 30. Muradin falls and loses his life as FNATIC closes out the series with a 3-0 against Team Dignitas.
FNATIC coming out here and keeping up the victories. They take on Dignitas, and Dignitas now, who are in the driver's seats. If they could have earned a victory over FNATIC, could have still had a chance to go to the Western Clash, but now they'll be looking towards other matches to have that chance.
Yeah, that is, for Dignitas, a massive blow. Dignitas' chances of going to the Western Clash just took a massive dive. And now the 3 teams that have the best chances fighting for the last 2 spots are Tricked Esports, Team Liquid, and Team Expert. There's still a lot of dynamic happening between the 3 of them. I was talking about the situation between Liquid and Expert earlier, but Tricked, for example, still has a very good shot at making it to the Western Clash. They would have to beat Dignitas, but still, the situation right now is crazy. Dignitas has to hope for a major upset to happen to either Expert or Team Liquid, or they won't be in Kiev.
And you can stick around for those upsets. Zell to be facing off against Team Liquid next after we get done with the interview, of course, here in the commercial break, and we'll be going straight into that matchup. Now, FNATIC continues to be undefeated, and their goal that they have set, they are very rock solid for that goal. They want to go to BlizzCon 2017, and so far right now, they have yet to blink an eye at any opponent coming their way.
And as you just said, our next series is going to be Zealots versus Team Liquid. And if Team Liquid defeats Zealots, it would mean no matter what happens on the last play day, Liquid will be ahead of Dignitas. That's a given. Even if they end up on the same match score, it doesn't matter since Liquid, in the direct comparison against Dignitas, was able to secure a victory. So if they now win against Zealots, they are qualified for the Western Clash.
Which is going to be an awesome moment for them. I know they really were kind of kicking themselves in the rear with the misses and brawl.
I have to correct myself. There is still a chance that Trick takes over the position if Team Liquid wins against Zealots now, but loses against Expert. So there's still a bit dynamic between the other 3 teams, but the one thing that would definitely be true is if Liquid beats the Zealots, then they are ahead of Dignitas, so they would always be 1 point ahead of them, and therefore the only thing that could save Dignitas is the good guys winning over Expert.
Running a tight line between all of our teams. Now we have Schwimpy here and available from FNATIC to go ahead and talk about the series. Schwimpy, thank you for joining us. How are you doing, man? You guys are currently still undefeated.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good, I guess. It feels good to beat Dignitas, especially 3-0.
Well, coming out against Dignitas and winning with a 3-0 is a pretty big statement from you guys. You're obviously moving forward, wanting to go to the Western Clash, but obviously you've mentioned your overall goal is BlizzCon. But how important was it for you guys to kind of knock down Dignitas a peg? Were you guys hoping that someone else could come with you guys to the Western Clash, or were you just here to get a victory?
Personally, I really want Tricked Esports to go to the Clash, since I'm a longtime friend with Make, and so is Mexi as well. Played in another game together, so that would be fun. But other than that, like, you kind of get to know the guys in Dignitas, and I'm pretty sad that they're most likely not qualifying, because some of them or all of them are really good friends. So it's a mix, honestly.
Awesome. Well, over to Caldor.
Well, first of all, congratulations. And I still have a few questions about the last game in particular. Were you guys surprised when they brought you to Sky Temple, when they actually opted out of the first pick to bring you to the map where you defeated them twice at the mid-season brawl?
Not really sure. Like, I guess we were a little bit surprised that they actually chose the map, because every team chooses first pick every time. So I guess that was a surprise, but especially Sky Temple, not really surprised that they chose it.
Did you expect the Tracer and Tassada to come out? Once that was locked in, you guys immediately snap-picked your own heroes. Was that something that you expected from Team Dignitas?
So either we were going to take it ourselves in the second rotation, or we locked the double support versus it. So we were prepared. It wasn't really surprising, but maybe a little bit.
All right, thank you very much.
Awesome. Schwimpy, your next match is against the Playing Ducks, and I'm sure you guys are excited for that one. Are we going to have another 3-0 from you guys, or are they going to have a bit of a hard matchup for you?
I mean, we obviously expect a 3-0. They are not looking very strong, and we're looking very strong, so we're aiming for a 3-0 for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if they took one game. It can happen anytime, and in HOTS, the meta can shift so fast, so we might not be prepared for something they bring.
Awesome. Well, Schwimpy, thank you for your time. The floor is yours for shout-outs. Feel free to call out anyone you would like.
Shout-outs to all my friends, my family who's watching. Shout-out to Monster for keeping me up at night. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Congratulations to FNATIC. They scored on the 3-0 today, and they do it over Dignitas nonetheless. An impressive series from them as they continue to be dominant here in Europe.
Yeah, it was an impressive feat, and I did not expect the 3-0. I really expected they would be able to... I thought they had an upper hand going into the series, given how strong they looked this season. But overall, I thought that Dignitas at least takes the map, if not 2 or 3. So this is actually a massive victory for FNATIC. It's even more so impressive given the season so far.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get ready for our next series as Team Liquid and Zealots will be facing off, and we'll see if they can handle the pressure of them, as we'll be right back after a commercial break.